All right, welcome. So we have another guinea pig victim that has been willing to come on live, yes, share and bear all of her stuff so that we can do our live coaching. And and we will be recording this. So, and then I'll be extracting this out for the podcast episode. So just as a heads up for those that are watching, that if you're putting in comments, we may not get to it or address it on this call. So it's not that we're ignoring you. I do appreciate and love all of you, but yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing a recording here. So let's get started. So I'm going to do my little intro and then we'll dive into it like we would with a podcast. Okay. So
cool.
Welcome to the Inner Dominatrix podcast, the show that gets you stepping into your bold, sexy, fun-filled life. And today I have another willing participant to come in and bare her soul and get some shifts and changes so that you can see how this process works. And of course, if you relate to what's going on with her, you're going to experience shifts and changes as well. So Leanna, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Do you want to give maybe just a quick, 30-second who you are, what you do?
The who you are and what you do seems to shift and change every day, but the constant is I have 2 kids, so I mom pretty hard. I've also just started a new business. I've kind of left the kindergarten classroom and kind of switched up a few things. And so now I do some coaching myself. And I basically take my vision at the beginning was, what would it look like if I brought my yoga online? So now I basically work with clients using the philosophy of yoga to kind of just help ground and shift a few things and basically just find that inner space of peace and calm through the yoga. So yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And what is it that you would like to shift and change today?
So there's a few transitions happening for me with some things around work and how I'm spending my time. And so I'm going to be shifting and opening up more space for working with clients in my coaching business. And it's a bit of a financial risk, but there is going to be some shifts and changes coming soon around that. So there's a lot of nerves and anxiety around the unknown. And even though this is what I work with with my clients and I know how to do it, it's like sometimes you just don't want to do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been calling out for this anyway, so it's really interesting. So I'd like to really shift into a space of intentional manifesting creation. Right now I'm kind of in the so I want to shift to
Okay, so we're going to take it up an octave.
How is that description?
That's great. It's the energy of it, right? It's fabulous.
That's just how I roll.
Yeah. And I think, you've brought up a really good point in that, even though we do these things for other people, we still do well to have support for ourselves. I mean, I'm like you. I have 3 coaches that I work with right now.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily see what it is that I'm being blocked by because I'm being blocked, right? It's hard to see your own shit.
It is.
It really is. So I'm really glad that you recognize that.
Yeah.
And where I want to go is looking at maybe the resistance to change.
Yeah, there is a big resistance there.
Yeah. And so it's to look at this interesting echo happening. Okay. Anyway, we're just going to keep rolling.
I can hear you quite fine.
Okay, good. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
So to look at what is set up kind of underneath that. So what I want you to do first of all, like I do with everybody, is I'm going to get you to expand your energy field there.
Sure.
You're fairly expanded, but we want to go 360 degrees all the way out to infinite space. Yeah. Because that gives us more information, more awareness. And then from that space, I want you to just answer this question, even though it's crazy, even though it's not logical, it's not linear. I don't want you to go, well, there's nothing, because that's what everybody wants to do. So what is the upside to resisting change?
A safety.
Okay. And if you have safety, what does that give you?
Security, knowing.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if you don't know?
I kind of, when I work with energy or do anything like this, especially if my eyes are closed, I don't really have words. I just have things I see. So I just see like a big gravel pit.
Okay. So here's one of the things I want to just, on a more cognitive level, is to poke at. So my belief is that we are all infinite beings. We're having a human experience, but at the core, who we are these spiritual infinite beings. And if we tap into that place and you look at that and you say, as that spiritual infinite being, can we ever not be safe?
Are you asking me that question?
And not from your head.
Well, no, we're always safe. We're always held. It's always okay.
Right.
So the resistance is really just the resistance to this sort of universal truth. It's sort of, I think for a lot of people, I had this conversation the other day. It's like, for many people who've surrendered to Christ, for example, it's like there's this big resistance to, no, I want to do it all on my own. I want to do it by myself. I don't need help. So there's this resistance to unfolding in that way. And that's just kind of what comes up when we're chatting. It's like there's a resistance to surrendering to a universal truth, which is, I don't have to be alone, and this can be easy.
So what do you get from doing it alone and not having it easy?
Nothing except pain and sort of
let's dig down to
misery.
Let's dig down to the crazy answer, because that's the first logical answer when you get from it nothing. If you were getting nothing from it, you wouldn't keep doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
So what's the crazy ass reason that you would want to keep the pain and the I need to do it alone, the badge of honor?
Yeah. I mean, I really
expand out, get out of your head.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is I don't like to think of these things. I don't like to think of the answer because it's the monkey mind, right? It's not going to give you the answers. It just likes to throw them around and fiddle with them. So what am I getting out of resisting? What am I getting?
And the doing it alone. That had a big energetic charge to it.
Yeah.
So it's like here's what I see with some people. You can see if maybe one of these goes, bing, that's also me.
Yeah.
I had said about that whole badge of honor. There's a real badge of honor thing that goes on with people and saying, I need to do it alone. I need to be able to say that I did it myself. And I see that with people who are always asking me, well, I want a self-help tool, right? Like I'm running this trauma release program and it's healing sessions. And I have people that are like, well, can you tell me the self-help version of that? And it's like, there is no self-help version of that. It needs to be the way that it's done. It's untangled by someone else. The surrender is what creates the release. And you can't surrender to yourself all that effectively. So I think one of the things. What else is coming up?
Well, I think there's this resistance to getting help because it's like there is this badge of honor to say I've done it alone, and it's all very much ego based, not wanting to call my parents again and say, hey, can I borrow some money? There's a lot of stuff for me around money and getting financial support. It's like this ongoing story. And there's a huge resistance to accepting help in that way because there's a story of, well, I'm almost 40 and I should be, and this should be happening and I should be doing this. So there's a lot of
shooting on yourself,
shooting all over the place, really. And then as a result, just basically beating myself up.
Right.
Around those
so
things.
If we drop down and we say, okay, well, what does that give you? Like, so you get in this pattern, you're beating yourself up. I should be able to do it myself and all these things. And then,
well, I'm getting connection to other people in conversation and around it. I mean, there's a connection to other people in the sob story.
Yes. Bing.
Right.
And that's one of the other big things is this, because everybody else has bought into this idea that we have to do it alone. I should be able to do it myself. I'm nearly 40. I should be able to figure this out and pay my own bills and do all that. But if that's not really the way that this life is supposed to go, what if it's actually that we are supposed to be doing it together, community, however that is. I mean, the way things work right now in this planet is that generally, working together is also, sometimes that requires you to pay people to have that support. And there's nothing wrong with that. No. But I think this idea of I need to do it myself keeps us limited. Yeah. Because then we don't receive the gifts. Okay. And, I want to do some clearing around this in a moment, but I just want to, touch on this idea that, like, for you, when you give somebody a gift, how does it feel?
Well, it feels really wonderful. It feels like a smile.
Right. And so when somebody else is trying to gift you and you're not, you're taking that gift and you're smashing it on the floor by going, I can do it myself. How do you think that feels for them?
Well, it's a shame when somebody doesn't accept something that you're offering. It's frustrating and it's maddening. And, in so many ways, I've come such a long way on my healing journey. Like I'm so proud of myself and I just love on myself so hard most of the time around all the work that I've done and all the new levels that I keep hitting. Yeah, but at the same time, totally not broken. Yeah,
totally not broken. No.
I just keep saying I'm celebrating. It's interesting you say that because I just wrote that in a blog the other day. It's like, just because we've got to debunk this idea that mental health means that you're anxious, depressed, or mentally unstable. And when maybe it just means you want to just keep upping your level of joy and peace. Why not that? So, not to get off track there, but rein me back in here, will you?
Yeah. So the gift piece. Yes. So here's the thing, like when you allow yourself to reach out to other people, whether it's that they're gifting it to you for free or you're paying somebody to do it, you set up a dynamic for the universe to gift you more. And you also honor that person who's gifting you. And you know how good it feels when somebody receives your gifts. So why would you be mean and not receive theirs?
Yeah. I don't have an answer for that, honestly.
It's more of a rhetorical question. Yeah. It's just like, to get you thinking a different way. Just like, stop being a nasty bitch.
Yeah. Stop hating on yourself and hating on others.
Stop hating on others. Yeah. Like if you won't do it for you, stop hating on others. So that's the one piece. And then, of course, for me, like I come from the spin of the inner dominatrix, and dominatrix allows others to gift to her. She allows herself to receive. And in fact, there's an expectation that people want to do for her.
Yeah.
And I think that spin, that place is allows us to have much more available in our lives. Allows us to actually open up.
It's part of the creation process on like a fundamental level. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that I know this stuff.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say, you get all that intellectually. Now let's get the crap out of the way.
Right.
So we stirred it all up. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine being able to drop into your body. Yeah. And we're going to pull out of your body. So just energetically, we're going to make a big pile of stuff. We're just going to pull it out. Pull out of your body where you have these programs running that you're not allowed to receive, that it's not okay to receive, that you have to do it alone, that there's some sort of like badge that you're going to get, some sort of victory prize for doing it alone, right? To pull that stuff out, to let go of the attachment to doing it alone. There you go. To let go of, you know, the judgment that you've had about yourself, about where you need to do it alone. You must do it alone. You can't ask for help. All that kind of stuff. Just keep pulling those layers out. Doing great. Yeah. And is there any part of you that is resistant to getting rid of that pile of crap?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And so what's the resistance to getting rid of that?
Pain, soreness, stiff. What's the resistance? Just a habit, thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's as a like, who would I be without it? Or is it, are you like taking on somebody else's habit?
Yeah, I'd say more the latter of the two.
Okay. So when it's not yours, the only thing you need to do is let go.
Yeah.
There you go. Just unhook from everybody else. Like, this is bullshit. Just unhook. There you go. Now when you look at that pile, is there any part of you that's in resistance to letting it go?
No, other than it's not quite out or detached. There's like a white string or something.
Okay, so pull all the rest of it out then.
Yeah. Okay, it's done. It's out now.
Okay, cool. So for fun, we can just give it a big blast. Throw an atomic bomb at it. Right? 1, 2, 3. Because the energy moves because we have the intention for it to move.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's a choice. Like what creates the change for everybody is the choice. So this whole process is just getting you connected to being willing to make that choice, and digging in deeper where it's, you know, when there's somewhere that's like, okay, you know, because I could feel there's a resistance. So it's like, all right, so let's dig a bit deeper. Let's dig a bit deeper. And sometimes it takes, you know, 4 or 5 layers of this. If it's something that's really stubborn, it can take that time. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now when you look at changing your work situation, changing, you know, everything, how does it feel in your body?
Just, it feels lighter. You know, it feels lighter. It feels, there's more of a color of white to it and more light. Like literally, like there's more light. When I, like, you know, when I'm working with energy or I'm dropping into my body, it's really, it's so deep. I could just drop into the body really quickly and get in there really deep that it's very hard for me to describe things in words and language. So it's just, you know, it's really great. Just, it's a feeling of, being lighter.
Yeah. And that's great. Like this, it doesn't have to be words. Yeah. We don't have a lot of language for energy.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. No, there's no, I'm not making wrong necessarily. It's more just, it's very interesting that when you drop into the body.
For those listening.
Yes, right, of course.
We do have other people on the line.
Yes, this is true. Yes.
So it's not just about you. Yeah. But I wanted to elaborate on that because it is a good point where a lot of people tend to make themselves wrong. Is like they don't like, well, I don't know what the words are. Well, just to connect with the feeling, because energy is much more of a feeling process than a words process.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, that the kinesthetic and the visual is what comes in first, and the auditory tends to be one that we kind of block hearing it until we're ready, whenever we're ready. So there's a lot of different ways to connect with the energy. There's a lot of different ways to know what your internal knowing is.
Mm-hmm.
And what's important is that you recognize what your internal knowing is. So you've already figured out what that is, and that's awesome. So for anybody who's listening, is that this is just one way of perceiving the energy.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of other clues and cues. And so it's as you develop the skills, you get more connected to what your knowing is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we still have a little bit of time. So what else would you like to poke at, or do you want to expand on this topic?
I think it's sort of part expansion on what we were just talking about, but there's this, which I feel like is very common. It's like this hesitancy to be your light, to shine at your brightest, to be your best, to expand to your furthest, to expand out fully. And all of that meaning believing that and utilizing that magic that you have with the universe to co-create and to really say, hey, like, I don't have to make this so hard. How would I just say, this is what I want, and let's just make that happen?
Right.
Like
okay. So there's
I know I can do that.
I love it. I love it. And there's several layers in this. And the first one that I want to just poke at, because this is what's coming up for me, is that how many of your friends are ahead of what you are doing, in this shining your light and letting yourself really show your brilliance? How many of them are, equal or behind?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you say it again?
So if we were to correlate this and say, we were looking at money and you wanted to increase your income, then I would say, how many people make more money than you?
Okay.
So in this way, how many people are really, just fully stepping out, showing up, and it's like, this is who I am, this is my brilliance, I don't care whether you like me or not.
I'm going to say a lot. I'm going to say most of those that are closest to me are in that. Yes.
They're showing up, or you're perceiving that they're showing up? Like, do they feel that they're really letting their brilliance shine?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay.
It seems that way.
It might be something for you to just take a peek at. Because here's one of the things that I'm thinking is that if you are surrounded by people who you see that they're standing out, but they don't feel that they're really letting their brilliance shine, there's that collective piece, right? And that energetic, if everybody's kind of holding back, then everybody holds back. And it might be a matter of like, getting together with your friends and say, okay, listen, let's all go the next level up.
Yeah. I feel like I'm intentionally surrounding myself with more people that are
awesome,
not doing that. And
okay. Yeah. It just was
for sure.
I had to poke at it.
No, I love it.
Yeah. And it's one of the, like, it's just a fact. Like, if you want to change how your life is, you can't stick around necessarily with the same people. Like, if you want to quit smoking, it's really hard to hang out with smokers.
Yes, totally.
It's just a linear piece. So then, okay. So for you really showing up, what does that look like?
Creating space, which is something I keep sort of sharing with my group. It's like, just, can't lean back with these on. All good. It really means investing, first and foremost. It means investing financially. Okay. And that just looks like investing in more daycare for my kids, or investing in sorting out childcare more. Like, on a practical level, that's what it looks like, because that creates space.
Absolutely.
And that's a big one for me. That's this big, and it's very energetically, it's very draining. It's like this story. Oh, I can't get enough done because I don't have enough time.
Right.
Can't get it done because I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And it's
and that's, you know what? Time and money are the two excuses that we really allow ourselves to buy.
Yes. Yep.
So,
but there's still this resistance. There's still this kid that's like, no, but listen, my situation is different. I have 2 children. I get like an hour a day to work on things. And then I compare myself to other online entrepreneurs, and I'm like, you don't have children and you write about, you know, manifest meditations for 2 hours every morning. F you. Like, so there's this resistance.
So I'm going to say, are you willing to give up that story?
Yes, it's okay. Really necessary.
Here's the practical piece. That from this moment on, you are no longer allowed to say, I don't have time.
Yes. Cancel, delete.
Just, you're not allowed to say it in the first place.
Okay? It's gone.
So instead of that, it's how can I find the time? How can I make the time? How can I create the time? And what if this is not, what if none of it's true? Because here's the reality is that with time, you know, there's that whole piece. Oh, shoot, I forget what the law is. There's some like law. There's like the amount of time required will expand or contract based on the amount of time available.
Yes. Right? Yes. So, I just heard that the other day. Yeah. It's very, very true.
So here we're coming towards the end of the time, and I would like to explore this a little bit deeper with you at some point. But what I want to leave people with is, it's funny because this is kind of what came up for me this morning. This morning I was like, you know what? I need to get my masculine energy on, because I got stuff that I've been putting off, and it's like, today is a get shit done day.
Yeah, so I can sense that. Yep. Yeah, I can feel your masculine energy. I felt it the whole time.
I know. I'm like,
there's this like resistance, because I'm like, no, but I need you to just love me and be more gentle and soft with me. And so I can feel that, right? Right.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, lots of flow is going to do what? You're like, wee! But we need some times where we're like, this is it. This is, and you give yourself a shorter time frame than you would normally. Like if, like I sat down, I was going to give myself an hour to write these emails that I need to get done. And it was like, no, cut it in half. I now have half an hour. You know what? I got it done. Like, seriously, like I was finishing up the last few words when you popped on the line.
Yeah, perfect.
Like craziness. So I would invite you to really pull in a little more masculine energy. Set yourself time frames. Get it done. And then pop back out and get back into your feminine and feel the flow and have yourself more structure.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
No, and you're bang on, really. Like, and again, this is stuff that we already know. Like, I truly believe we have all the answers within us. It's just it's finding that portal to kind of get you to that little place of bing bing. Remember this thing that you already know, where you have all the time in the world. And I keep saying that I have all the time in the world to do anything I want to do,
right? Because
that story is more empowering, and that story is going to help propel me forward. And that masculine portion of me, it really hasn't been around for a while.
Might be time to pull it out.
So
that's definitely kind of so that's the practical thing, and I just want to kind of wrap this up. So it's, I mean, there's more layers to the resistance that I can feel with you, with the staying on track and staying focused, and letting go of the stories. There's always layers, right? But I think for now, having that awareness of just having some time where you get stuff done. Are you making a list of the most important things that need to get done, and get those done first? It's practical, and yet sometimes that's the perfect balance point to go in. Yeah. Along with, we keep clearing off the resistance and then take action. Clear off the resistance, take action. So that's kind of the blend, and that's where the coaching that I do is, yes, we do lots in the energy world to clear things off, but then we also bring in some practical strategy, because we got to do.
Because it's legit necessary.
It's legit necessary. I love it. Yes. So I want to thank you for coming on and being so open and vulnerable. Yay.
That's my jam.
That is your jam. You're doing great at it. So thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome. Namaste. Thank you.